Hello and welcome to Matt's Garage. This is part 3 of our series on how to build a basic shaker table. I mentioned in the earlier parts that at some point we'd get around to building the top, and that's what we're going to do today. So the top in this case consists of 3 pieces. It's 2 pieces of cherry. They're both a little over 7 inches wide. It's the same 11/16 thickness that I've used before, and they're about 4 feet long.
And there's a strip of walnut that you can see here, which is about an inch wide.
In the center. So this particular series of tables that I've built, this is the third in this series, has this little racing stripe.
Of walnut on the top, which I find is a really nice accent.
And plus, practically, it allows me to buy somewhat smaller boards of the cherry wood.
And use scrap walnut that I have laying around the shop, milled down to the right size.
So, in order to join these 2 pieces together, essentially join both of the cherry pieces to this one piece of maple, I'm going to use dowels again. You saw me use dowels earlier when I put the base together, and I'm going to use them again here to make sure that I get nice alignment between all of the pieces of the top. Now, this is not required to build the top. You can do a glue up. You can put it in your clamps uh, and do your best to get it aligned that way. Honestly, I'm not as good at that as I should be. And I find that taking the extra time to use dowels to do a little joinery really helps me get the alignment right. And it's sort of fun to work with the doweling jig and get a little practice on it. So now let's take a look at the setup. I have my board butted up to the edge of my workbench here. This is my main assembly table. In the background, you can see my new jointer. We'll do a video on that soon. I've got it clamped a little bit down as well, just to make sure that when I drill, it doesn't move. Uh, and I've drawn a few lines on the face of the board, indicating approximately where I want the holds to be. Now, the lines are just the way I like them to be. They're about 8 inches apart or so, a little bit narrower on the ends here. And it doesn't actually matter where you put them as long as you feel like you have enough dowels to give yourself the kind of alignment that you want. So let's now take a look at how I have the jig set. I have my offset set to right between 1/4 and 1/2. I guess we'll call that 3/8. That turns out to be a very good spot for the dowels on this particular piece of wood. So with that set up, we can grab the drill and let's get the first hole done. I'll do one here, then we'll do the rest of them off camera, and then I'll come back and show you how we mate up the piece of maple to the cherry. I already did one side of this, so this is sort of the second side of the cherry. So we're going a little bit out of order, but I can show you how that works very quickly. So let's drill a hole. So that felt as it should. I feel like I need to change the battery a little bit on my drill. That sounded like it was sort of struggling there at the end. So let's take the clamps off and take a look. One perfectly drilled hole. So like I said, I'm going to do the rest of them off camera, and then we'll come back and show how we do the mating. See you in a bit. And here you can see close up of the holes that I just drilled. They're all nice and aligned. They're in the same plane. Okay, so this contraption is the piece we just drilled. You can't see the holes from here. They're right on top. And The second piece, the piece that we want to mate to it, is clamped flush with the top and in the approximate position that it's going to be in. So instead of using the doweling jig based on lines, lines that we draw on the second piece, what we're going to do instead, and I'm going to move over here, we're going to use the indexing slot on the doweling jig. It has this little slot in it. And what we can do, and I've already done it for this one, is insert a dowel into one of the existing holes on our first piece, push the jig up to the workpiece in the back, clamp it down, and then remove the dowel so it's not in our way. And the nice thing about that is that we don't have to bother drawing a second set of lines or anything like that. We simply use the jig to help us position the jig. So with that said, we can get to drilling all the rest of our holes. And I'll drill one of them right now so you can hear the drill. I know you really want to do that. And then we'll go back and do all the rest. I'm just going to make sure my clamps are tight. They are. Convince myself I'm still where I want to be position wise. And we'll get that first hole drilled. And so I'm not going to unclamp this now because I have a bunch of other holes to drill, but you get the idea. Clamp your second piece onto the back of the first piece. This is the upper face that we drilled last time. This face back here is also the upper face, so you can imagine flipping them together, and that's their sort of mating position. So I'm going to go along and do the rest of them off camera, and then we'll come back and wrap this up. See you in a bit. All right, let's see if we can wrap this up. I'll show you how it turned out, and we'll talk about next steps. The short answer is it turned out great. You can see here that the holes are all nicely drilled. I put the dowels in the centerpiece, just press them in. I did a test fit before, fits really nicely. Nothing that a little bit of sanding that I would have to do anyway is not going to take care of. So I'm very happy with the results. Next steps. Well, next step is going to be the glue up. So I might make a video of that. Gluing up with dowels is something that I don't actually see a lot of videos on, so I might do one of those for you. And once it's glued up, I'll do a couple of more things with it. Obviously, I'll do some sanding all around. It's still not down to final dimensions yet. So even before the glue up, I'll probably rip down the two pieces of cherry to their final dimension so that I get my exact 16-inch wide piece of board. But once that is done, the width will be correct. I'll do a quick trim up on the edges to get the length down to that exact 48 inch. And then it's on to doing some final prep on this. I will be doing a small round over on the top, and I do a chamfer on the bottom of all my tables. It just gives it a nice finished look. So I probably will show you how that works out. Okay, so that's it for part 3 of our shaker table series.
Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.
See you in the next one.